This conference
Sure.
will now be recorded.
Okay.
All right, it is now 6:30 p.m. on Tuesday, December 21st, 2021, and I'll call this last meeting of council for 2021 to order. I'm respectfully acknowledging that we are on Treaty 1 territory, the traditional lands of the Cree, the Anishinaabe, and the homeland of the Métis people. I would like to take this opportunity to thank my council mates and our CAO and our staff for a great year. I wish you all the best over the holidays and into 2022. Introductions around the table.
Mike Bartmanovich, Merry Christmas, everyone.
And a Merry Christmas to you. My name is Erwin Kump.
Raymond Morrow, CAO.
Benny McMorris, Mayor. Councillor Axworthy. Sorry.
Yeah.
Graham.
Hello, I'm Graham Randall.
And with us as a delegation in a few minutes, the lovely Miss Shelley Napier. Hello. Thank you. All right. Gentlemen, be it resolved that the agenda be adopted as presented. May I have a mover? Erwin, thank you. Second? Mike, thank you. Any additions, comments? All good? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Thank you. Minutes of the December 7th, 2021 regular meeting of council have been circulated. Be it resolved that the minutes of the December 7th, 2021 regular council meeting be adopted as presented. May I have a mover?
I'll move that.
Graham, thank you. Steve, will you second? Thank you. Any discussion? Right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Thank you. All right. Up next is our delegation for the evening. Shelley Napier, you're here to talk to us about the Lightship program and the Intact grant. The floor is yours.
Hey, thank you, Mayor. I was contacted about a month ago from Fire Smart Canada and Jeff Irwin with Office of the Fire Commissioner to see if we might be able to identify some users of a new application from Lightship, which is a emergency preparedness, emergency management app. I attended a meeting and I was able to see the app work, and I think it's nothing short of brilliant. It does hazard mapping, it does evacuation planning, it can upload the emergency plan, it works online, offline, it has so many uses. It's an amazing piece of software. FireSmart Canada and CIFC, which is the Canadian Interagency Forest Fire Centre, are very interested, and they're working with Intact Insurance, and there's grants available to test this out, and obviously the testing is more geared to fire prevention. So having viewed it and having spoken with Brad Patzer, the emergency coordinator, and the fire chief, he also thought that it would be extremely beneficial to Victoria Beach because you are very fire prone. And I know that in working with you the last few years, Councillor Axworthy discussed a lot of the problems surrounding the possibility of fires at the beach. Given the fact that we are, last year we're in a drought, and this year is already indicating that there's less moisture than normal, I think that we want to do it.
Sorry, Shelley, you keep cutting out a bit.
Yeah, you're cutting in and out.
Okay.
I'm wondering if I can just make it just something to try, to turn off your camera while you're talking and see if it isn't a bandwidth problem.
Is that better?
Oh, yes.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's what it was. Thank you. Okay.
We're probably going to have to get you to go to the beginning.
Okay, that's fine. So I was approached by Office of the Fire Commissioner and Fire Smart Canada, along with CIFC, which is the Canadian Interagency Forest Fire Centre, about testing for a community, fire-prone community, an application which is to be used. It's an emergency management app, and they're wanting to gear it towards fire, although after using it and seeing it work, it has many, many, many applications that we could use in any type of an emergency, tornado or a flood or anything we got into, dangerous goods spill. There's a grant available through Impact Insurance, and CIFC is working with them. And they want to try it out. They want to try the app out in a fire-prone community. And so given my work with Manitoba communities and First Nations, they approached me to see if I might have some interest from some of my clients. Both Jeff Irwin and myself immediately thought of Victoria Beach because of the fire threat that are under, given your location, and because of past work that has been done. We sent the package around to you, as well as to Brad Patzer. Brad's response was really positive. He and I have spoken a few times, and he thinks that it has an awful lot of merit for the community. So now I want to make sure that you guys understand sort of what it can do and what it could mean as a possibility for your RM. I had a second meeting last week with the developers of the app, along with CIFC, and my thoughts ran to this. We have to apply for the grant. We have to get a municipality to act as the banker. We want the grant to be for a First Nation and a RM. We've identified a First Nation that is interested and also they are fire prone. And we're hopefully going to be able to work with Victoria Beach for this wonderful program. What we would also offer is a wildfire community protection plan. So we would have a wildfire specialist come to Victoria Beach, boots on the ground, identify threats and hazards. We would put together an actual tangible plan that we then could work with in conjunction to the app. There would be absolutely zero cost to Victoria Beach in dollars. We would require the CAO to probably act as the banker, so he would have to disperse funds as we needed them. And Brad, who I have discussed this with, would have to work with the wildfire specialist and the app developers who said they would gladly help inputting data from the RM so that we could use it and test it, and then the app would be yours. You would have a community protection plan, and you would have an assessment done for your community. Now, I was able to grab a bunch of documentation that has been previously done for Victoria Beach. It's a number of years old, but they've done different zones, and they've looked at a hazard vulnerability for fire from these zones. And although they're older, it's going to give us a good starting point. So I guess what I'm asking tonight is, if there's an interest in participating, I'm on a bit of a deadline for the grant. I have to have all the paperwork done from your part, and Lightship has to do all the technical part to get it to intact by end January. I also have the support of CIFC. They are really excited and hoping to use you as a test case for Canada. I see absolutely no downside and only good things for this program with you. I think you'll get some great data for fires as well. We will be able to use this app as a really good tool in the toolbox for anything that occurs in the future in the event of any type of an emergency. It's only going to benefit residents. And so if you would agree, if you want, I'm open for any questions, and what I would need on your end is a commitment and a resolution of council accepting that.
When do you need this support from council, and when do you need a resolution? Could the resolution wait until our first January meeting, the 11th?
Yes, it can. It absolutely can wait till then. I'd like to have everything done and into Lightship for both yourself and the First Nation community by 20th of January. If you are not interested in doing that, I'd need to know as soon as possible because I have to go to another community to see if I have to go to my next community on my list because they want Manitoba to try this out. So as long as I could know by the 3rd week of January.
Okay, thank you. I'll open the floor to see if anyone has any other questions for you, Shelley.
So Shelley, this is a product that's in beta right now, and they're looking for test sites, just to clarify.
That is my understanding. The company is out of Alberta and Vancouver, and they do some pretty impressive work. And from what I've seen, Councillor, I believe that they're going to have a really good product available for use in 22.
I'm a techie at heart, so I'm in.
Yeah, all right. Steve, did you have a question?
I mean, it wasn't so much a question as it was a comment. I was just going to say I'm fully in favor of this. So that's kind of as far as I'll take it. I mean, I'm completely on board.
Okay, Graham?
Shelley has indicated that she could wait until January 11th for the resolution, but she went on to say that whether we're interested or not, as a matter of principle, she would like to know as soon as possible. Why don't we let her know that right now tonight while we're all here? Steve's in favor. I'm in favor.
Correct. That was my next comment to council, but I just wanted to see if there were any questions. Erwin, do you have any?
Well, it sounds to me this is like the kind of research that we've been talking about doing ourselves to try and develop, emergency response planning. And if we can get some help, no cost, let's go for it.
Mike? Yes?
Oh, I'm absolutely 100%.
Okay. There's going to be some administrative work, I think. But,
Yeah, Sally spoke to me about
Okay.
that already. It's not a problem.
but I think you've got 100% support here, Shelley, to move forward, and we can have a resolution ready for you on the 11th of January, which is our first council meeting.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. I was so hoping that you would be because I don't see any downside. And in previous years, when Councillor Axworthy and myself have been looking at fire data from Victoria Beach, I think that this is going to give us what we want with absolutely no outlay of money. All they're looking for from you at the end of the project, if you're pleased, the outcome is an endorsement letter that they can go on and say that it's a good product. That's all they're looking for from you, and we'll do all the heavy administration at the front, and then really you will just be you will get the grant money in your budget, and then the CAO will just have to disperse it as we need to pay staff, and you will actually pay Lightship out of the grant money for their portion and for the wildfire community protection plan. But all of that is going to come to you, and we can use that to just strengthen your emergency program. So I'm very, very pleased that you're on board with this.
Well, thank you for thinking of us, you and Jeff. I know we worked with Jeff in the past on that red zone program. Gosh, I don't know how many years ago that was. Will any of that information, I think you referred to it earlier, will any of that information be usable?
Yes, I'm hoping. I actually he just sent it to me, and I've been looking through it. I need to sit down with Brad in the new year, and probably Jeff and Brad and myself will go through the information to see what has been changed. There's a lot of information that has already been in place for your municipality that I'm thinking we might be able to utilize. So I'm going to take that once I have the resolution and I have the grant information in. So the process will be this. I'm told that the grant has to be intact by the end of January, and we will like in April of the success. We have the full support of CC, which is a really big support. And particularly when he found out that we're going to do the protection plan and the assessment, the on-the-ground assessment, they were really on board with that. So everyone's really, really excited. And I think that, you know, if we can get started, you know, end of April, whenever we find out if we're successful, we can hit the ground running, and we will be on a time frame to get the information to Lightship, and we'll take it from there. But I see only good things as far as this goes.
One more question. I don't know if you can answer it, Shelley. Intact has a municipal climate resiliency grant, and it is also, this came out in all the information that you sent about this Lightship, I think. Is this the same grant? Because if not, would it, you know, we might have to look at applying for something, fire equipment or something like that through this resiliency grant. But if it's the same grant, we will back off and use it for Lightship.
Right, this is the same grant.
Okay, perfect. This is me ripping up this piece of paper now. No, I didn't. I just folded it, but okay. Well, I think you have our complete consensus. Is there anything else you need from us today, my dear?
No, other than just to wish each of you a Merry Christmas, and we're hoping for a healthier new year, and just to get on building even stronger program and meet in the, hopefully in the new year, to go over some additional requirements.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks,
Thanks,
Shelley.
Shelley.
Take care.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Council, for that. Thank you so much, Shelley. Okay, committee reports. We will start with Public Works. Mr. Councilor Bartmanage.
Public Works.
Yes.
Okay, a couple of things that Public Works wanted me to make sure I mentioned is that, and this is something that I'm seeing myself, and that is that there are residents who are continuing to illegally pile brush on the road allowances. Folks, there is a season for piling just prior to the brush pickup. It happens twice a year. Do not pile brush. If it becomes a problem, you can be forced to have it removed at your own expense.
To clarify, though, they pile brush on their own property.
Not always.
Not always.
Well, but they that's where they should be putting it now.
No, you cannot put it.
Oh, he's saying on their own property, not on the front, not on the boulevard. but
Not
in
on the
their-
road,
in their
not on the road
property.
allowance.
So,
Inside your property, yeah.
and then you move it out to the road allowance. To the
That's,
street.
then you move out, that's right, yeah, spring. In
Just
the-
to clarify.
Yeah, in the brush piling season. Thank you, actually, that's a very good point, thank you. Potable water, as always, is available at the Victoria Beach Fire Hall and the Albert Beach Pump House. And this water is tested monthly throughout the winter. Those of you who frequent Facebook may have seen a couple of posts about the taps freezing, and they had never seen this before. Well, the taps aren't frozen. The taps are being over tightened. So please do not over tighten the taps, as it does cause damage. And Public Works has had to replace the taps at both the fire hall and Albert Beach, which has caused serious interruptions to water service. E-service requests can always be made.
Sorry,
Oh,
Steve.
I was just gonna explain why that's happening. It's only because for whatever reason, when you turn the tap all the way off, there's still a little bit of water in there. I guess I really don't know why that would happen, but it's still dripping a bit. It does stop dripping. So people are trying to tighten it as hard as they can to try to stop it from dripping, but it's going to drip just a little bit and then it will stop.
yeah. Well, what's probably happening is that ice gets in the washers, in the shutoff valve. So you may get a little bit of dripping, but that dripping will stop. So please leave He-Man at home. Turn off the faucets with a regular amount of torque, and everything will be fine. As I was going to say, e-service requests can be made from the RM of Victoria Beach webpage. I know folks at Public Works are continuing to remove problem fallen trees on roadways and on so many of the trails that I've been fortunate enough to be able to enjoy this winter so far. I think that is, they have started flooding the rink to the west of the VB Community Center. The fluctuation in temperatures are causing the ice to freeze, then melt, so the surface might be a little bit rough. I've always found that that getting skaters on the ice is a good way to get rid of the roughness. But please be very careful if you decide to go for a skate right now, as the surface probably has a fair amount of undulation. And that's it. Thank you.
And also, if you're on Facebook, you might have seen photos of the Victoria Beach Arch,
Yes, I saw that.
which was damaged by a highway snowplow. So the arch is down. It will be repaired and in the spring.
Not our smoke.
No.
No. So for the moment, we are all suffering from fallen arches.
Yeah, it'll be fixed up. Yeah, you are. All right, thank you very much.
Sorry, one more thing. For folks coming out in the winter, we've had a little bit of snow. I'm sure we're going to get a lot more snow. The plowing in this municipality is absolutely unrivaled. The roads here are better than the roads in any major city. If you are coming out to the cabin, there has been a significant snowfall. Contact Public Works, and they will take the windrow off of the edge of your driveway. These things get hard really fast, and I don't want anybody hurting themselves or worse.
But if possible, give them 48 hours or so.
Yes, please. Yeah. If you're coming out on a Friday, call them at least Tuesday or Wednesday. Thank you.
All right.
And unlike Winnipeg, they don't use polishing equipment to ensure that everything is just like a mirror finish on the road. Like I went to tires and I went about a half block today.
It's really slippery today.
Yep.
All right, thank you, Mike. Finance, Councillor Kumka.
It's always a pleasure to provide an update on finances. This may sound like it's getting a little boring, but our finances are in good shape. The graph that you show now, we can display numbers for the last 4 years, and the numbers on the far right, you'll notice that they're slowly and steadily improving. Our reserves at the end of November stood at $1,038,000, and that's up $263,000 over this time last year. Accounts receivable and miscellaneous assets stood at $680,000, and that's up $45,000. So probably little receivables maybe not being collected quite as quickly being during November, December, people buying things for Santa Claus to give away. Our operating surplus stands at $145,000. It's down slightly by $22,000 over last year. And that's nothing to be concerned with. That's pretty much just a timing issue. The golden rule that I look at, if we combine reserves, cash, and receivables, in other words, that's a reflection on our ability to pay our bills, we stand at $2,072,000, and that's up a whopping $333,000 this time last year. Again, you'll see that gold bar has been steadily increasing over the last 4 years. Our tangible capital assets stood at $2,458,000. That's down $126,000 from last year. And that's primarily a timing issue with respect to when depreciation gets journal entry into the book. So again, it looks like we're going to end up the year in pretty good shape. We've got 1 more month to go. There will not likely be a finance report in January because it takes a couple of months to get our year-end numbers done. But again, my congratulations to administration and Public Works and all of our staff. They work hard to make things, the financial results are very good for a small municipality. Well done.
If I can just add one comment, supplementary to what are said, is that tangible capital assets or our acquisitions have not been posted. So any new acquisition, we've got the plow truck, we've got the new public police truck, and whatever else we haven't posted to the TCA account is not showing. That number will double significantly once the year-end numbers are on.
Thank you. We do. Thank you very much. Any questions for Erwin? Thank you, Erwin. Protective Services, Steve, do we have a fire report?
Yep.
Please?
So there was one call out in November. This is a call to hydro line fire. So the work that was done this summer is necessary. For anybody who was wondering, this is why it's done, is to try to prevent these types of fires. On arrival, it was determined that there would be no fire hazard possible with this call. Hydro was notified. We continue to we continue our regular training schedule and include topics that our level 1 trainees are working on. We also continue to maintain our gear and equipment and repair and rectify when needed. There was an instructor that was able to put the fire department in contact with another fire department that had just upgraded the SCBA, which is essentially the breathing apparatus. I actually have it right here, self-contained breathing apparatus. I remember that correctly. They were able to gift the fire department 12 SCBAs with tanks and other parts and spare tanks. Our fire department research pricing for what used SCBA units would be, and found that they may be valued between $600 to $1,500 per unit. So this was a really good find, and the fire department is now able to use this equipment. But unfortunately, as everything does come with expense, we're going to have to look at budgeting for a new SCBA system in the rather near future. And it should also be noted that it takes about 6 months to a year for delivery, and a full new system would be about $15,000.
15?
15,000. 15 with 3 zeros after it. So, price of safety, but I would say, especially where we are, it's well worth it. You don't really want firefighters going into smoke without the ability to breathe.
Okay, thank you. Any comments, questions? I saw them all out. The Saturday training group was out in front of the fire hall on Saturday. They were doing fire extinguisher training. They had a fire going in the front of the fire hall, out front of the fire hall. Kind of good. Nice to see them back practicing again. All right, thank you, Steve. Mike, do we have a police report?
We have a police report. Well, for the month of November, there were a total of 67 incidents. And I say incidents as opposed to calls because I've started breaking these out. Police basically encounter an incident one of two ways. They get called by a resident or the RCMP, or they're on patrol. They encounter incidents that require their attention. And of the 67 incidents for November, 38 were the results of calls to the police, while 48 were on view. And on view means that this is the police patrolling the municipality that are coming upon these incidents that require their attention. And that gives me a great feeling to know that our police are making their presence known throughout the municipality. A couple highlights: there was one call for an abandoned vehicle, 3 alarm calls. There were 4 calls from the RCMP for assists. 3 warnings were handed out for illegal parking, that is by law illegal parking within the RM. 1 request for a check on well-being. There was a call for danger to the public, 1 disturbance call, 2 dog calls, 14 radar infractions, and there was 1 call for suspicious activity and 1 call for theft. This isn't all of them, of course, but I thought I'd give you the highlights. So again, It's winter, the population is low. Keep an eye out for your neighbor. And also a final farewell to Mel, who is working his last few shifts with us here in Victoria Beach. He's officially got the call from the OPP. He will be entering their program early next year, and we congratulate Mel, thank him, and wish him all the very best.
Absolutely. Questions for Mike? All right, thank you very much. No special events report, so back to you, Mike. Golf course?
Oddly enough,
Quiet?
I went looking for my ball, and all I saw was cross-country ski tracks. But boy, did they look to be in nice shape. So I'm hoping that everybody is enjoying the cross-country ski circuits around the course of the surrounding area.
That takes us to municipal buildings. Councilor.
Municipal buildings, that's me. As per the correspondence to the December 7th council meeting, the report from Crozier Kilgore and Partners on the Moonlight Inn is being released to several qualified local contractors to obtain cost estimates on the recommended remedial repairs. CKP had offered a ballpark figure of approximately $75,000 for this work, but that needs to be verified for council consideration in context of the total estimated costs for all proposed renovations. Results, when obtained, will be brought to the planned public meeting on this matter in April or May of 2022, where a plan for public funding will be considered if the community agrees. The various components of the project: remedial repairs, foundation, new kitchen annex, upper level deck, will subsequently require public tender for each, possibly by an elected board of trustees who will oversee this work and fund financing for same. Council will eventually have to decide on the extent of municipal participation in consideration of the bulk of the funds coming from private donations, with provisions for tax receipts to donors. As for a target figure, the overall budget is expected to be in the $350,000 to $400,000 range over a 2-year period. And that's my abbreviated municipal buildings report for this evening. Thank you.
Thanks, Graham. The costs just keep going up.
Never ends.
Yeah. All right, any questions?
Graham, have you had any discussions with those people that are interested in getting more involved in community-based rescue program for the Moonlight Inn? Any discussion about when we might have a possible public meeting on that?
Would you repeat your question, please, Erwin? It was directed to me.
Just wondering if there's been any updates in terms of looking for a possible date for that public meeting that we're talking about having to develop a plan to rescue the Moonlight Inn.
The plan to rescue what? Oh, yeah. Preparations are gradually coming together. We've set a tentative date. Our chairperson's on site, and some of the other participants are getting their presentations lined up. Not a lot of progress this month and last month, but an announcement will be forthcoming, and it's possible that the public meeting will be in April or May.
Good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Graham. Dr. Urban?
Just a couple of quick comments. Back in the summertime, we filed a new terms of reference document with the council that was ratified. There's been some communications back and forth between myself and members of the committee. They have proposed a couple of minor changes, and it would be my intention to table that document early in the new year, and then we can have a discussion about the proposed changes. They are minor in nature. I think let's take a look at them when we have the document. I have it now, and I will soon provide it to council in the new year. Okay.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Okay, thank you, Erwin. Communications, or Mike, have anything?
Just continuing to post what's important on our Facebook page. People that go to our Facebook page and find that they cannot comment, the page is set up that way. It's not meant to be an editorial page. It's meant to be an information page. In the absence of being able to comment, anybody who is a visitor to the page or follows the page, use the message function. All messages that are left for the RM in Victoria Beach are responded to.
I know it's a little bit off topic, but part of communication. Some of us attended that Dr. Mtg presentation today from the Eastern Regional Health Authority.
Yeah.
They followed up with some information and some links that they asked be posted.
They're already on the Facebook page.
There you go.
Posted them while I was here waiting for everybody.
Okay, thank you. All right.
Okay.
That was
I do just have one thing, just with Connect, just a reminder, please put in your Victoria Beach address. The faster that we get the system caught up and updated, and we don't have any more submissions saying that you live in, I don't know, China or Florida, then the faster we can actually move forward with getting that system completely up and running. So please, if you're going to sign up for Connect, which you really should be doing, just ensure that you put your Victoria Beach address. It doesn't help us to send you a message when you are in a different country or even in Winnipeg.
Well, the system is running, so let's make sure we clarify that. But
yes,
I also think that if I put in my Winnipeg address and I'm not in Victoria Beach, I still want to know what's going on in Victoria Beach, right? So does it really matter?
What we need to optimize the system so that we can use it to its maximum effect, which is again where we can divide the whole RM into the different sections and quadrants and everything else that we need to do to protect people in the event of emergency, and especially a wildfire, is we need to know exactly where you are and your Victoria Beach phone as well as your cell phone. So people have been putting in their addresses from outside and their phone numbers from outside Victoria Beach, which doesn't help anybody when we're trying to call you to tell you that there's a wildfire in Victoria Beach and how to evacuate.
Oh, okay. I think it's important that we all get the same information given the small size of our municipality.
In the cases of a need for, say, evacuation, it would be very handy to have the RM broken into zones where we could give very specific information to different areas. The road is not going to be a good idea. The idea is to get to the lake as quickly as possible. It's going to be different. No matter how small we are, I can see a time where even if it's not for an emergency, where having the Connect subscribers divided by zones is going to be of a benefit to us.
Mm-hmm. Yes, but the Connect subscribers, many of whom live in Winnipeg, they've expressed, where would you like us to contact you? Well, for 8-9 months of the year, they want us to contact them at their Winnipeg address because that's where they are.
That's majority of them don't have a landline. They're getting communication by cell phone, so it's irrelevant what their address is.
Exactly. So much of it is cell phone.
It's not irrelevant where their address is. It's still important. I mean, yeah. The more we do with the raw data that we have at our disposal, the better information we have. Mm-hmm. That is what information management is all about.
All right, thank you. Anything else, gentlemen? All right, thank you very much. No report for the summer information office, but my understanding that we will be hiring for positions for this office next summer. So
there's some non-return.
Yeah,
we're also looking at a different possible.
Yeah,
Doing-
Oh, I see, okay.
yeah. I
All
think we
right.
need to reconfigure that in some way, but.
We're doing a lot of that this year.
Yeah, so, yeah, but that's my report on the summer information office. Building inspector. Councilor Randall.
The building inspections monthly report for the month of November, permits issued, 3 development and 2 additions. The value of the permits, $389,000. The fees collected, $2,043. And the most significant figures are the permit value year to date. We've surpassed the $10 million figure. It's $10,268,000, and the fees collected are $91,266, and we still have the month of December to go, and we'll report on that in January. So it's been a excellent season all around for permits and growth and improvements in our neighborhoods. And thank you to Curtis for his timely report.
That's amazing. All right, accessibility. Just to advise that we have a resident who has taken the time and provided their talent and expertise to apply for a grant on our behalf for an accessible washroom and mobility mats for a beach in Albert Beach. And so the application was sent in, so now we wait. But
Cross everything you got.
yeah, so that's where we're at with accessibility. Heritage and trails.
Essentially with the trails, we're still waiting for more snow. I mean, grooming is very difficult when there's not that much on, so it's just more of a matter of time. The more snow that there is, the better the trails get, the better the quality of the grooming. Aside from that, there's not too much to report right now.
Do you see that email I sent you, Steve? I think it was in late October. Trails Manitoba had a grant.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I put in for that. Just waiting.
Here we go. Yeah, just waiting.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
Should we be putting in for all these grants ourselves? Is that the direction?
Normally the CAO does it, but if Steve has completed it, sent it in.
Okay.
Yeah. But normally, yeah. I don't know how you fit it in with your schedule, Steve, but thank you. All right. Any further questions? All right. Thank you, gentlemen. That is it for our committee reports. Be it resolved that the December committee reports be accepted as presented. May I have a mover? Mike, thank you. Erwin, second. Thank you. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Carried, thank you. Accounts and finances, be it resolved, the following list of accounts be approved for payment. Accounts payable checks 9825 to 9861 in the amount of $56,781.23. Number 10 payroll in the amount of $35,439.57. And Visa in the amount of $1,108.95. May I have a mover? Erwin, thank you. Second? Steve, thank you very much. And Erwin, any discussion, comment?
Again, I've reviewed the list of accounts payable and pretty much in order, nothing unusual. Report on this one.
All right. No further questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Thank you. Moving on to other business. Bylaw 1628. Be it resolved, the bylaw 1628 authorizing the payment of indemnities and expenses to mayor and council be given second reading. May I have a mover? Great. Erwin, thank you. Mike, second. Thank you. Discussion? This was raised at the last meeting. Hearing nothing, all those in favor? Sorry, Steve, did you want to say, I'm sorry.
Yeah, just real quick, I'm just more of the opinion that we should be doing sort of 2.5% on par with just general inflation and not this sort of one-off of, massive inflation, because pretty much all economists are saying next year it's going to be reduced because everything's essentially going to reset once the supply lines are back in place. So I know that it's not a lot, but it's more of the principle of the thing.
Very much.
But for the record, the average increase is about $50 a month. We're not talking serious money here.
I understand. It's just more of a principle for me that I don't know. It's just I don't think that we should be going up for 5%. Yeah.
Well, I would certainly say let's carry on as we are, but if this does change next year, we will have a look at it again then, but it's still not a lot of money for the amount of time and effort and hours that I know each and every one.
Oh, believe me, I understand that.
Yeah, well, it's kind of a token increase on token remuneration.
I can have 2 cups of coffee every council meeting now.
All right, so I once again call the vote. All those in favor? Carried, thank you. Opposed? Steve, thank you.
But the coffee's paid for now.
Yeah.
Yep. I said it's the principle of the matter than anything else.
All right, third reading. This is a recorded vote. Be it resolved that bylaw 1628, authorizing the payment of indemnities and expenses, the mayor and council be given third reading and passed. Any further discussion? I need someone to move that. Yes, I do.
Why don't we do that?
Why don't we do that in order? Thank you. Second by Irwin. Thank you, gentlemen. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Recorded vote. Carried. Pardon me. Opposed? Steve? Thank you very much. Carried. Parking lot tender. Be it resolved that the Arm of Victoria Beach Council accept the tender from Kevin, Sandra, and Robert G. Attia with respect to the operation of the parking lot for the years 2022 to 2026. May I have a mover? Irwin, second. Mike?
Sure.
And discussion?
That was the only tender we received.
Yes.
Regardless, if it ain't broke, we'll fix it.
I just, for me, I think in the long term, regardless as to whatever type of a good job the operators perform, I really wish and want this asset to eventually come into the hands of the RM. I think that especially when you see what happens with COVID, when you have an asset like the parking lot that determines as to how people can get to and from their house, it's just yeah, as I said, I'm not necessarily saying right now, but I think in the long term that asset does need to come back into the hands of the RM.
Never been in the hands of the RM.
Well, we own the land. I mean, but like just
we've never attempted to operate that parking lot. Thank heavens, and let's hope we never do attempt. We are not operations managers. It's in good hands. I don't see any desire or any need to ever allow council to get involved in managing the parking lot.
Just to comment on the finances, if we're ever going to try and take over the parking lot, that would mean deploying a sizable amount of our capital assets to operating a facility that we have no experience in operating. And the current arrangement puts the municipality at no risk. We receive a compensation based on the profitability of the operation. It's a good arrangement, and as Mike said, if it ain't broke, let's not try and fix it.
Again, right now, yes, but I'm saying long term, eventually, the current operators are not going to want to do it in, the several years, and however long that might be. It might be 20, it might be 30, whatever. But I mean, we didn't get any other tenders, so other people aren't really interested in doing it, which could put the RM in sort of an awkward position when these operators decide not to continue on. So it might be something that the RM doesn't have a choice in, or is going to have to frantically find somebody at some point to take that over.
Mhm. Well, I'm sure it would be the same process, I'm assuming, whereby we put it out for tender in November or December for May of the following year. So I'm very pleased with the way the ATIA has been running the parking lot since the 1960s. And I see no need to change it at this point, but if 20 or 30 years down the road that council wants to make that decision, I won't be involved.
Well, maybe not.
John, you're a lifer.
Yeah. Thank you for your comments. Hearing nothing more. All right, all those in favor? Great, thank you very much. The Moonlight Inn tender. Be it resolved, the arm of Victoria Beach Council accept the tender from Aaron Vincent Elkame with respect to the operation of the Moonlight Inn in 2022. May I have a mover?
I'll move that.
Graham, thank you. Steve, will you second? Thank you. Any discussion?
Well, where the parking lot tender was for the period from 2022 to 2026, the Moonlight Inn is for the operating year of 2022 only. And Aaron's well aware of that. There may very well be some significant changes beyond 2022. So I think it's wise to confine this just to the 1 year. And we're grateful to have his bid, and I'm happy to accept it.
Any other comments? All right, all those in favor? Thank you. Summer winds. Let's see what's going to happen with summer winds again this year. Be it resolved, the arm of Victoria Beach Council authorized the CAO to write a letter of consent to the Summer Winds Family Music Festival, granting said organization permission to host a community event on July 22nd and 23rd, 2022, as required by Manitoba Liquor and Lotteries Corporation. May I have a mover? Steve, thank you. Second. Graham, thank you.
Good.
My comments were to do with COVID. Who knows if it's going to happen, but at least we can give them permission and they will be making that decision.
The municipality's not at risk in any way as far as the operation of the festival.
No, and their Victoria Beach Community Center is an additional insurance policy with full coverage, property and liability. So,
but we're not at risk if something should go wrong in terms of some late cancellation. We're not at risk financially.
oh, no, this is strictly for them to get a liquor permit.
That was my assumption. I just wanted.
Yeah, they need the blessing of the municipality for the liquor license.
No comment?
I'm just going to say that, hopefully it happens. Good luck to them. And if everybody wants this to happen, then there's one very easy way to ensure it happens, which is a jab in the arm, preferably at this point, probably another 10 later on. But
I wondered when that was coming.
It's an opportunity.
Okay, thank you very much. All those in favor?
Aye.
Did I see? Carrie, thank you. I miss it when I'm looking the other direction. Be it resolved, the arm of Victoria Beach Council authorizes CAO to sign the RICO copier MPC 3504EX lease contract between Milne Office Systems and municipality, said lease to be for a 48-month term. May I have a mover? Mike, thank you. Second, Graham, thank you. Discussion. Council was given some information on this previously.
Yeah, we were given quite a bit of detail and the cost comparisons, and it looks very much like a no-brainer. I think now's the time to switch providers, so I'm in favor of this.
Good product. The result will be a net savings.
Net savings, exactly.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
I don't remember ever having to do this previously, and it's only for 48 months, but I mean, yeah, I'm for it.
You don't want to start, signing leases too much longer than that because the equipment needs to be replaced at that point.
That's the
So the
thing.
one we have right now needs servicing, but we're not going to bother because we're going to get the new one within the next few days, beginning of January.
That would be my only concern, something like an MFP for 4 years.
Well, the deal with Xerox was just renewed year to year, wasn't it?
No, it was a 4 or 5 year term. I'm
Oh,
not sure.
okay. So it's finally coming to fruition. Well, it looks like it's time to make the switch.
And anyways, these contracts, they guarantee, they'll bring in a model. If one goes and they'll bring in a
That's what I wanted
replacement
to
model.
hear. Yeah, that's
There's
what
a guarantee, there's no
Okay.
issue. And the per copy maintenance charge is guaranteed for 2 years at the same amount.
Is it negotiated or did they?
It's fixed for 2 years. It's less than what we're paying right now with Xerox.
No, but I mean, in years 3
3 and
and 4.
4, well, they'll come back with that. I mean, I'm not too concerned about that number.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be, I mean, Xerox has adjusted the number probably every year.
Mhm.
So,
Okay. All
I
right,
mean,
good.
the saving on the lease alone is thousands of dollars over the 4-year term.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
There's not
Okay.
much risk there.
Good work.
Good work, Brendan.
Thank you.
I mean, you can put that towards therapy for dealing with a photocopier. So that's my
Okay. All right. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
All right.
Carried. Thank you. Thanks for doing all that research and dealing with this, Raymond. Up next, Breathe Easy, Eco Solutions. Be it resolved, the arm of Victoria Beach Council authorizes CAO to sign the Breathe Easy Eco Solutions remediation contract with respect to quote 11,330. Total value of the contract, $26,092.50, taxes included. You have a mover? Steve, thank you. Second.
Sure, I'll second.
Mike, thank you.
That's the asbestos removal.
Asbestos removal for
The demo.
construction in property in the.
For the safety of the general public, it's got to be done. So, but there's no choice. So,
Yeah.
invite the
It's-
public, add to
We
the.
have to do it. It would just hold our nose and pass this, pay it, and get it over with, and hopefully it never happens again.
We will fully recover that.
Oh, we will.
That's a good point. Thank you, Erwin, for mentioning that it goes on the property owner's tax bill. So we will recoup this sooner or later. So it's not totally down the drain.
But it needs to be done.
Whether it's this owner or another.
All right, any further comments? All those in favor?
All right.
Carried, thank you. Up next, transfers of Crown Public Reserves. Be it resolved, the arm of Victoria Beach Council confirmed the municipality's intent to acquire the public reserves title to the Crown in legal plans 10743, 6580, and 17583, and to bear the costs to transfer titles of said properties to the municipality. May I have a mover, please? Erwin, thank you. Second? Couldn't get his hand up fast enough.
I think the other shoreline owners should second it.
Steve, would you second that? Is that what? Yeah. Okay, thank you. So as you know, this is like the first step in our process of getting Crown lands from the province that they don't want to look after, and I don't know if we should.
Well, we're in a far better position to look after.
Well, it gives us control over them.
Yes.
And it gives us control over what can be done and what should be done in proper fashion.
But
There's only-
specifically, just on Crown land.
Yes.
Okay.
So they're, in this case, one of them is for 2 open spaces, park space areas, and one is in front of Mossing. The lakefront in front of Mossing, which is a disaster.
There are additional properties that we hope to acquire in the future.
Yep.
Crown property.
Right.
Yes.
We have
Well,
a-
it's first step in us gaining control of what happens over our beaches. It's been kind of a nefarious gray area for generations. Raymond, any idea when we might know the full extent of the legal and transfer costs?
No, I couldn't tell you at this point in time. I don't think it's going to be that significant. I mean, there's no fee as far as the transaction goes. It's strictly.
Okay. All right, thank you.
A template.
It's the right thing to do.
See?
I'm a little bit like torn on it because there is some protection, like greater protection when the province or the federal government holds land of some kind versus the municipality. But then, we've had a couple of instances over the last several years, and had the municipality had control over this land, we could have acted immediately and really brought the hammer down to prevent and protect the destruction of the shoreline. So I'm in favor, kind of begrudgingly, but given some of the things that, especially that we need to do and the ways that we need to protect, the line that we have, then yeah, I'm in favor of it.
If we have a workable shoreline maintenance program in place, we need to control the land. Right now, we got the feds, we got the province, we got the municipality, and we got private landowners. So this step will eliminate one of those.
Yeah.
The Crown.
Not that we're looking to eliminate private landowners.
No.
Okay, good. I just take that.
This is not the socialist fight to Victoria Beach.
No, it's not to do with private land.
Nothing to do with privately held land. May I
Okay,
underline that?
yes. Any
Should put that
further?
on Facebook.
That's why I'm underlining it, because I'm sure it will make it there.
All right, all those in favor?
All right.
Carried. Thank you. Okay. The January 2022 council meeting schedule. It resolved the January regular council meetings be scheduled as follows: January 11th, 2022 at 6:30 p.m. here in the Winnipeg office. January 25th, 2022 at 6:30 p.m. again here in the Winnipeg office. May I have a mover? Erwin, Mike second. To clarify, because of COVID and the changes in COVID, it might be better to have the meetings here. It's easier to video them and coordinate them for the month of January. We don't know what's going to happen in February.
No, we kind of do.
Weather's an issue too.
Weather is an issue.
Weather's an issue
So we'll do both in.
in Winnipeg.
Okay.
We're
Can we do
doing,
them earlier?
I'll get to that. We're doing the first meeting on January 11th because January 4th, which is our scheduled first meeting, is the day that the office staff come back from 10 days of holidays. It's just not enough time to prepare and get the agenda set and all that. So that's why we're moving them ahead or to the 11th. And yes, they're at 6:30. Steve, is 5 o'clock all right for you?
Oh. I wish I could, but no. Yeah, sorry. Especially like in January, I'm going to be overloaded. So if we can keep it at 6:30, that would be really appreciated.
Darn, we were all hoping it would be earlier.
How about 6?
If it's necessary for you guys, then sure, I can do 6. It'll be tight, but I can make that work.
6 o'clock, all right, gentlemen?
And we appreciate
We do
the
appreciate
sacrifice.
Thank you, Steve.
Although I do think that this is the right move because in January the numbers are just going to look like this. So
Might be all virtual.
Well, there will occasionally be some virtual attendees, no matter how the cards are dealt. So I take it we're agreed on the 11th and the 25th at 6 p.m.
Yes.
Good.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Carried, thank you. All right. Up next, vaccination policies. Be it resolved, the Arm of Victoria Beach Council agreed to develop the following policies. Number 1, mandatory vaccination for all municipal personnel. Number 2, mandatory vaccination for the public to access municipally owned or operated facilities. May I have a mover? Steve, thank you. Second?
I will second. Let everyone second.
We'll let Erwin second. Thank you.
You could third.
So,
I'll fight it.
thank you. So as council is aware, Steve's brought this forward several weeks ago. And I'm pretty sure that this entire council and our staff are 100% in favor of vaccination and being safe. My concerns relate to the implementation. And we do have COVID protocols at all our sites, which I think are working. So I'm willing to listen to the discussion this evening. And Steve, I will hand it over to you, if you like.
sure. I mean, just for a short point, if you take a look, and the U.S. really is the best example right now because they're the sort of primary hotspot for the globe. It's 74% of people who are going through the doors right now into emergency rooms. It's not just the ICUs, but just into the emergency rooms who are flooding all operations are unvaccinated. Unfortunately, with the second doses not being as effective as Omicron, that's 64%. And with the third doses, 18% are contracting COVID. So the numbers really don't lie in terms of the amount of people who are getting infected right now. And we're in a really precarious position because we don't know if we have any unvaccinated. It could be everybody that we have on staff is fully vaccinated. It could be that everybody on staff is not fully vaccinated. We just don't know. And without that knowledge, without being able to ensure that everybody in our employment is protected from everyone else, then we have a real issue on our hands, especially if somebody comes down with COVID and either develops long COVID or dies. Just as a couple of examples, you had the city of Winnipeg today that announced that they're making it mandatory for all workers, and full vaccination is 3 shots now. That Ottawa has done it, Toronto has done it, Calgary's done it, Vancouver, and even New York City. And these aren't policies that are leaving any sort of room for testing. It is simply you are either vaccinated or you're off work. And finally, it seems as though governments are starting to understand the severity of this, and especially with the speed that Omicron is moving through. All it takes is one person. And what they have shown through a UCLA study was that people who are unvaccinated carry a massive viral load compared to those who are double vaccinated. Mm-hmm. And those who are double vaccinated carry a fraction of what the fully vaccinated or what the unvaccinated do. And so by ensuring that everybody's double vaccinated, then you drastically reduce the amount of you drastically reduce the potential for breakthrough cases to come out in our workforce. What does that mean? That means that we reduce the likelihood of death, we will reduce the likelihood of long COVID in our employment, and more importantly, just in terms of general operations, we don't have to worry about staff taking time off because of COVID, because of a preventable disease. And I really want to underline that. This disease is entirely preventable, but it's not preventable until everybody gets vaccinated. And unfortunately, this whole idea and this myth of herd immunity doesn't apply to COVID anymore. It's essentially like measles. If you either everybody's vaccinated or you're going to have breakthrough cases. And so by doing this, we're going to ensure that we have a healthy, fully functional workforce. And if they get sick, it'll be for something that they can kick overnight.
Graham? Sorry, Graham had his hand up.
What's the intent of this resolution? Is it for double vax or double vax plus the booster or triple vax, or how do we want to clarify this? Some of us are still kept waiting and wondering as to when we're going to be able to get our third shot.
I think that the best way to move forward for this vaccination policy would be just to simply define fully vaxxed, because the reason why the province hasn't stated that 3 vaccinations is fully vaccinated yet is because they're still waiting for enough people to do that, so it's not impinging on as much movements as there would be otherwise. Probably in the next month, you're going to see fully vaccinated means 3 shots, especially after today's announcement that anybody can get it, regardless as to when you got your second. So,
okay. So
I would say fully vaxxed because in 6 months, we might have to get another booster.
Okay, fully vaxxed by the provincial definition of fully vaxxed to give time for supplies to arrive and appointments to be made. Yeah, I can live with that.
Graham? Or Erwin? Pardon me.
The intent of the current resolution is just to provide confirmation that council is in favor of developing a policy. And I look forward to receiving that document, which would outline how we're going to make this happen. Writing policy is easy. Developing solutions to implement would be the challenge. I think, today we let Public Works and let our electorate know that we are in support of a policy which would see vaccination become mandatory. Just exactly how we're going to do it, that remains to be seen.
Correct.
Well, I just wanted to put the whole thing into context and bring it a little closer to home than what Steve was citing down in the States. And that is that back on November 28th, when the Omicron was first recognized, it was presenting as 0.2% of all COVID cases. As of just this past week, December 17th, the Omicron variant now represents 90% of all new reported COVID cases. So as Steve said, Omicron is highly contagious, and my gosh,
I'll put my math on.
like, let's get freaking serious about this already.
Well, I think there are some implementation issues, and to Erwin's point, that this resolution addresses the fact that we will develop a policy. So we're not going to drill down into it too deep today. We need legal support. We need union support. And those are going to be, and could be, costly to some extent. Did you want to weigh in at all, Raymond, on?
I made a few points in there just for council to contemplate when these policies are developed. And I'll make my points right now. I am fully in favor of the policies. My problem is, like Penny, I'm not so certain they're going to be easy to implement. And I'm just going to make some points on where I'm coming from with the argument. There's testing considerations. I'm assuming people have the option of being tested. That's what seems to be prevalent in all the policies that I'm aware of. So there'll be such things as the location, the frequency, the monitoring. As an example, experts are claiming Omicron infection can occur in hours, not days. Now what are you going to do? Are you going to test people? How many times an hour or how many times a day are you going to test somebody who is non-vaccinated? That's one example. Who will monitor the test? An employee? What about the employee's safety and risk of exposure should the unvaccinated individual test positive with Omicron? What if none of the vaccinated personnel are willing to monitor the individual taking the test? How will the testing be done for emergency volunteers who do not work regular hours or days, and whose attendance at an emergency or fire is unpredictable? The union has a direct interest in how the policy affects its membership. Its involvement will impact the provisions and implementation of the policy, such as saying, you're going to pay for the testing, you, the individual. I don't think that's going to happen. Consideration to the overall cost of implementing the policy, legal, PPE, tests, etc. Then there's the potential loss, replacement of qualified personnel and emergency volunteers due to long-term leaves, should they refuse to be vaccinated or take tests. Hiring replacement staff. What's the plan for the new hires once employees on long-term unpaid leave return? And with respect to public access restrictions for vaccinated individuals only, some of the comments I have is the only facility the RM operates as open to the public on a year-round basis is the RM office, which is located in a 10-story building with no vaccine mandate and with hundreds of people coming and going all day long. How is a requirement for the public to be vaccinated to enter our office space, providing any real protection to office staff and the public? At the golf course clubhouse, there's several seasonal part-time employees. How will this policy be implemented correctly? Will all employees at the municipal office and golf course be expected to enforce a policy that is not part of their job description? Are office and golf course staff expected to turn away unvaccinated taxpayers or the public who wish to make in-person payments? So those are some of the things that will be the reality of these policies. How do you deal with those types of situations? There's going to be others, but those are the ones that I.
But again, those aren't for tonight.
No,
but it's.
But they're very good points. Very good points.
Oh, yes, and there's a lot of details to weed through, but make no mistake, passing this resolution commits us to develop a policy as soon as is practical or reasonable or possible. So I'm certainly in favor of that.
Steve?
Just a couple of things. Previously, before Omicron, I was trying to get this policy through with the testing option. I'm now against the testing option because of the reasons that Raymond has just pointed out. Winnipeg, Ottawa, Toronto, Calgary, Vancouver, and New York have eliminated that option as well because of this new variant and how quickly it spreads. Just for some people out there who are going to have the charter rights and freedoms issues come up, aside from the fact that I teach it, I just want to educate some people on the two major points of which they should bring their attention to, which is section 1 and 26. Section 1 says charter rights can be limited by law so long as those limits can be shown to be reasonable in a free and democratic society. We're in a global pandemic. This is a lethal pathogen. At this point, if you're sitting next to somebody who can infect you and put you in the hospital, that's pretty reasonable. And previously, before this, I was open for the testing option because I thought that was reasonable. But now with the speed of which this infects people, I no longer see it as a reasonable option. Section 26 says the guarantee in this charter of certain rights and freedoms shall not be constructed as denying the existence of any other rights or freedoms that exist in Canada. To put that into plain English, you do not have the right to impinge on my rights and freedoms. You do not have the right or freedom to threaten my life because of your choice of action or inaction. And so when we talk about vaccine mandates, there has been over 136 years of vaccination mandates in Canada, starting in, it was with the smallpox epidemic in 1885. They've been challenged and they fail every time, the challenges. So these are legal, they are strong, and they're designed to protect people. And provinces across this country, specifically New Brunswick and Ontario, have massive policies for school-age children. All challenges have not gone anywhere. We used to, up until a few years ago, have a mandatory policy for measles. Vaccine mandates have been with us for over 100 years, and they're designed to protect people. And specifically with this, the hope is that you are not forced to be in a vehicle with somebody next to you who you don't even know if they're safe, and in turn get infected because that person has chosen not to get the vaccine. So I just wanted to put that forward because I know that there will be people who say, "Oh, the Charter of Rights and Freedoms," but that's the reality.
On a positive note, I think if we collectively agree to discard the testing option, that will simplify by quite a bit the number of challenges that we're facing to get
Yes. We are getting down the rabbit hole.
All right, gentlemen, so
The council has an obligation to put a policy in place. What that policy is going to be is yet to be determined.
Correct.
But I think we have an obligation to our electorate, to our staff, to our volunteers, to at least take a serious look.
So back to the resolution on the table. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Thank you.
Congratulations, Steve.
Thank you, Steve. 2022 RMVB firefighting. It resolved the Arm of Victoria Beach Council approved the following 2022 rates with respect to the fire service agreement between the Arm of Alexander and the Arm of Victoria Beach. Annual basic fee of $38,180. Hourly rate of $1,230 for all vehicles, equipment, and firefighters attending each call. All fire calls to be charged at a minimum rate of 2 hours. You have a mover? Mike, thank you. Second? Steve?
I'll second that. Steve.
Sorry, I got Steve.
Okay.
This is an annual increase.
Is there any negotiations done between our municipality and Alexander?
Well, right now, there's an agreement that's in place. It's still in effect for 2022. And in 2021, the agreement calls for the setting of rates by resolution of the Council of the Arm of Victoria Beach and acceptance by the Arm of Alexander. So in 2021, we raised the rates probably 2.5%. This is approximately a 2.5% increase over 2021's rates.
Right.
Passes what they see as the appropriate number. I forward it to the Arm of Alexander for their council's acceptance.
Yeah, it's a very small increase. It remains for Alexander to accept it, and we have no reason to expect that they wouldn't.
They say hello to you. Great. Good news. So, okay, good. Thank you for clarifying that.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Thank you. Firefighting rates for calls and training. Be it resolved, the Arm of Victoria Beach Council approved the following volunteer firefighter and rescue rates for 2022. Calls at $22.35 an hour. Training, $17.35 per hour. May I have a mover? Steve, thank you. Second? Erwin, thank you. Oh, sorry. Again, Erwin. Again, this is about a 2.5% increase.
They kind of rounded up.
Any comments, gentlemen?
Very small increase. It's quite reasonable.
Right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen. Police Board appointment. Be it resolved that the Arm of Victoria Beach Council appoint Andrew Smith to the Victoria Beach Police Board. May I have a mover? Mike, thank you. Second? Steve, thank you. Any discussion?
Just I'm pleased to have Andrew on board. He was instrumental in helping us through a really tough patch this past year, and I appreciate his input and look forward to working with him.
He's a citizen in Victoria Beach and a policeman. actually. How's
I'll
that?
just say good luck and have fun.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't know about the have fun
Yeah,
part,
yeah.
but he was a great help for the last few months. So thank you to Andrew for agreeing to do this. Any further discussion?
Were there any other appointees approached?
Yes, I haven't. I'm still in discussion with one more. So when I can confirm that or not, I will advise.
Thank you.
Yes. We do
Okay,
need-
thank you.
Yes, we do. Yeah.
And we are still waiting for the province to appoint their representative.
I'm glad we worked with our own appointees.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Thank you. All right. Update to police board bylaw, which I know we just recently did, but be it resolved that bylaw 1629 establishing a police board be given first reading. May I have a mover? Mike, thank you. Second? Steve, thank you. What we've done is we've added a clause to do with remuneration for the police board members. It wasn't really clear. It was rather vague, so we just outlined it.
Yeah, the existing bylaw states it will be set by resolution of council. This bylaw is saying that it is automatically set by the indemnities bylaw. Whatever the council indemnity is for hourly rate and travel, that applies to the police board volunteers.
Any discussion?
How are they being paid now? The new rates will be higher or lower?
We're just paying them what indemnities are.
Whatever we get.
What-
They were,
That's what they were getting.
yeah, they were-
Meetings and mileage.
It's just a matter of remembering. You always have to do a resolution. This way, it's whatever the bylaw.
So the financial consequences are zero.
they're the same.
Yeah, good.
It just came to my attention because I was talking to the police board chair and they hadn't submitted any receipts or any expenses. And I said, well, you should do that. It's in the budget. It's in the bylaw. And then we looked at the bylaw and went, well, let's make it more clear. So that's what we're doing. All right, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Thank you. I don't know if that outside noise is
It's
in the
inside.
building. It's in the
It's in the
building.
building.
On the roof.
Oh,
Yeah.
Just check and
okay. All right, thank you.
Just I'm sorry to interrupt, a quick comment on 1629. Our agenda calls it a resolution, but the
Yeah, it should be a bylaw.
it is in fact a bylaw. So we'll go through second and third eventually.
Yeah, next meeting.
Graham,
All right, up next, police officer contract. Be it resolved, the arm of Victoria Beach Council approved the employment agreement between Anthony Bohm and the municipality effective January 4th, 2022. Further be it resolved that the mayor and CAO will be authorized to sign said agreement on behalf of the municipality. And mover, Mike, thank you. Second? Steve, thank you. As Mike alluded to earlier, Mel is leaving.
It's critical that we have two police officers, fall, winter, and spring.
And I'm thrilled that Andy's coming back. He's been with us previously under Stuart, so he knows the community. He knows, a lot about what goes on down here. So I'm very happy to have him back. Look forward to working with him. Any comments?
Just, yeah, I just wanted to say that there are a lot of people, and I've mentioned this a couple times, that think that we don't need a police force down Victoria Beach, that it's a waste of money, that back in the day, we had one officer and their job was to sort of pull somebody out of the water if that was necessary. Things have drastically changed. I'd really hate to pop people's bubbles, but there's drugs, there's meth, there's thefts, if you haven't heard about those yet. Pretty much everything that you can find in Winnipeg is in Victoria Beach. It just goes sort of under the radar because we have such a good police force. And one of the benefits of having a police force, and especially 2 officers on in the winter, is aside from the fact that we have 24-hour surveillance, is it really puts a crimp in anybody's desire to try to go out and vandalize something or do something nefarious, because the response time is so quick. If you're dealing with a police force that's outside of Victoria Beach in a rural area, you can wait up to an hour, hour and a half before the response gets there. Right now we have a response time anywhere between a minute to 5 minutes at the most. And just one last note is just with the ATV that we got now, if somebody is breaking into a home, not only do you have that quick response, you have the 24-hour monitoring because we have 2 officers, but now we can finally chase them down into the trail system to get your stuff back. So having the second officer is necessary, and it really is serving a strong benefit to the community.
Thank you, Steve. Graham?
From previous discussions, is it still understood that the search is still on for a 3rd police officer, very likely seasonal in nature?
In the summer.
Yeah.
That's what we're looking at. That's what we're looking at right now.
Oh,
I don't think I missed the
okay.
question.
Third constable.
A third, okay.
A third constable.
Yes.
A 3rd, yeah.
And
Okay,
that
that's
will be
good.
complemented.
Yeah.
That will be complemented by a new program that we're going to be bringing we're going to be bringing into place, and someone 11.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Nope.
In favor?
Aye.
Carried. Thank you. All right, thank you, gentlemen. Next on the agenda, the Lake Winnipeg Basin Symposium. Be it resolved that all council members be authorized to virtually attend the Lake Winnipeg Basin Symposium webinar held January 18th, 19th, and 20th, 2022. Further be it resolved that the municipality cover all associated costs to attend said conference per the terms of bylaw 1613. May I have a mover? Erwin, thank you. Second? Graham, thank you. This symposium, we got the information on this, I think, last week. And they've broken it into 3 separate days with 3 totally different topics. Well, they're all related to Lake Winnipeg, but you can attend 1 or 2 or 3 of the days.
Being put on by the federal government
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
at no cost.
There's no cost for the webinar, but there is a cost for us to attend, but
Mhm.
but no fee to attend this.
My mileage charged to go upstairs.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Do it downstairs.
I would only just like to send a thank you to Terry Duguid from the federal government. He's one of the parliamentary secretaries, and this would not be happening if it wasn't for his efforts. He's doing a fantastic job in terms of putting Lake Winnipeg front and center on the federal stage.
Okay.
Good.
thank you. Any further discussion? Please sign up for yourselves if you are going to attend. I've already
Signed up for the 3rd.
I signed up for the 3rd day. The first 2 seem a little too scientific in nature for my liking, and one day is going to be. Okay, you can decide. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Carried, thank you. This next resolution on the VB Community Center New Year's Eve fireworks, I believe we're going to take it off the table.
Yeah.
They've been canceled, so when they decide to hold them again, we will have a resolution on the table.
It's unfortunate.
It is. So that takes us to correspondence, and I just have a couple things. We're still looking for a library board citizen rep. Position is available to a VB resident by the end of January, hopefully 2022. So if you're interested, please contact Councillor Kumka or myself for details. There's a notice on our website
And on the Facebook.
and on the Facebook page, and there's a poster in the library at the social scene. And I would also like to thank Stuart Justa for, I believe, about 4 years of his service on this board. So again, we are looking for a library board citizen rep to attend 6 meetings.
6 meetings a year,
Yeah.
some of which are virtual or can be virtual if you can't make it out to St. George.
Please let us know if you're interested. And actually, that's all I had. So, Graham?
I have an item of correspondence came in recently from a longtime resident. It concerns the memorial cairn at the site of the old sports club. He has pointed out the historical significance of it, and he feels strongly that it ought to be relocated from the site of the old sports club to the site of the new sports club is the obvious solution. We've also received, thank you very much, a fairly prompt reply from our mayor to this individual, and she has suggested that he approach Randy at the sports club. I don't feel quite comfortable with the process. I really think the RM should be more proactive in promoting and actually making something happen on this issue. I'm not sure if Randy even has the contact information for Mr. Cameron to reach out to him. And I think furthermore that the RM ought to express its support of this and ought to express its interest in paying the costs of the relocation of this important and historically significant memorial.
Have you actually gone and had a look at this memorial? My fear is that if you try to move it, it will crumble. But you know, maybe someone
you can get underneath it with a heavy-duty, oversized pallet and lift it up and move it. And yeah, there will be some patchwork required, but it's too important and too significant for it to be abandoned there. Quite frankly, you know, in hindsight, Council of the Day should have made special arrangements for this when they sold the property. So it was really just an oversight, and now is an opportunity to do something to correct that oversight. I would like to suggest that we get some prices, some quotes on what's involved in moving it. If
no, we don't know, number one, if the Victoria Beach Community Club is interested in it. If
Yeah.
they're not, is council prepared to pick it up and put it somewhere? If so, where? It was put in place by the Alexanderson Memorial Club.
Yeah.
Club users. And the fact remains, it is on private property. We can't do anything without.
Well, it was dedicated to, and it rightfully belongs to the residents of this community. I think that we should be more proactive rather than just referring person A to person B to person C. That we ought to take some responsibility for this regrettable oversight.
Steve?
Someone has to talk to them.
I mean, if the owners are willing to part with it, don't really see why they wouldn't be. And the sports club wants it, then I'd be totally in favor. If the sports club doesn't want it, and the private owner is willing to part with it, then I would suggest putting it up, because we don't have anything else to put there. Where the old garbage location used to be, just outside of the gate, might be a nice spot for it.
Or in the village green.
I mean, there are options.
And the way this could play out is by asking one or two contractors to provide an assessment as to its movability. If it's not movable, then it's a moot issue. But
Permission of the landowner, they're trespassing.
the move is a bit of an oversimplification.
But as Irwin just said, without the permission of the property owner.
Oh yeah, that has to be achieved first. Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Sounds like a lot of action items. Let's start writing them down and assigning them to people, and let's see where this goes.
Well, the first item is, does Randy know, does Randy have the contact information for Mr. Cameron? Let's provide it to him.
Take the lead, I can contact.
Yeah, that's appropriate.
I think Raymond has agreed that he will contact the property owner.
Well, that's fine. That's good. At least we're trying to do something. It may not be doable. This might not work out, but I'd like to be able to say that we tried in the best interest of our residents.
Thanks, Graham.
Okay, thank you. Any other correspondence? Steve?
I'll just do my usual COVID breakdown.
Already done it.
We've already done it.
Oh, no, there's a little bit more. A little bit more.
This is correspondence, Steve.
All right.
You'll have to write a letter to yourself so you can get your shot seeing that new correspondence. Technicality.
But on Steve's behalf, get vaccinated, people.
Yes, please. Yes. indeed.
I have failed to add to my financial report the fact that I did attend the pre-budget planning session that was held in Kinnelon, hosted by Mr. Vance, Mr. Fielding, hosted our MLA.
Wayne Washington, and Minister of Investment.
The event was unfortunately hijacked by a group of University of Manitoba faculty members and students who very rudely disrupted the meeting, heckled the minister, and it was really quite, I can understand students getting upset, but when faculty behave in a rude and disruptive way, that's disgusting. I graduated from that facility and I was not proud of their action. I finally got a chance to ask a question of Minister Fielding, and I asked about whether or not we could expect continued financial support for our various community groups who have been suffering through COVID. And he did say that they're taking a serious look at that in the coming budget.
Anything else, Mike? Anything?
Just
Yeah, okay. Anything else, gentlemen?
Merry Christmas and
Yes.
Happy New Year.
happy seasonal.
Season's greetings to all.
All right, so
Yeah.
you have a motion to adjourn. You shouldn't even need my computer with this.
Yeah.
Be it resolved that the December 21st, 2021 regular council meeting be adjourned. Next regular council meeting to be held on January 11th, 22 at 6 p.m. 705 1661 Portage Avenue in Winnipeg. May I have a mover?
Almost that.
Thank you, Graham. Second.
Nobody wants it to end. Okay.
Steve, second. All those in favor?
All right.
All the best over the holidays, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Prosperous New Year to all.
Thank you.
Yep.